No, Sammy, you're not the center of this project. All right, what I did today, I went to my local hardware store. I had these long, thin bolts which go right down through the holes here. They give me the axle for the eyes, but I couldn't find any nuts, so I went and got some extra nuts to make that. Now, the screws that I gotta go through the little holes that I made here, these holes here, I had to get special. I don't even know what size these are, but I had some nuts for them too. 4 nuts just in case I lose them, and some washers, and I got 2 of these. Should be another one here somewhere. Here it is. So altogether I got extra nuts because this hole that I made in here is very, very small. Purposely, I didn't want to take too much wood away, and what's going to happen is there'll be a bar, the aluminum bar will go from here to here, and these screws will go down along with the washers and the nuts, and that'll turn these things in unison like that. With the axles will go in here. I also picked up, I wasn't aware that brazing rod, it only cost me $1, is brass, but I wasn't aware that it was solid brass. I mean, I was looking for a brass rod. I had bought this earlier from Home Depot. This cost me like $3 for the steel rod, 1/8 inch. And this cost me $1. It's brazing rod. I wasn't aware. I thought brazing rod was coated. So it's apparently just regular brass 1/8 inch rod, which is perfect. That's going to be for the rod coming up to control these eyes. So I figured I'd buy this anyways, simply because this didn't work out, or we're trying to bend this, it broke or something. I don't know whether that's soft steel or hard steel. I imagine it's soft. So I figured, well, we'll have the brass, and I'll probably start with the brass first. Looking at this now, this is basically how it's going to be in here like this, although I may put the flat side up, but I'm just doing this now just to show you. The bar will come across here, and then this rod will go down through the neck stock, the PVC pipe. It'll have a bend in it and coming up, and it'll control this. I just have to figure how to get this to be self-centering. We'll figure something else on that, because you want it to return to this position. You don't want the eyes to be, when you release the pressure on it, you don't want the eyes to be turned like that or turned like this. You know, you want them to be looking straight ahead, except when they're moving. Then you can turn them whatever way you want. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. I had a little problem with the auto white balance on this camera. This is the Samsung SL600. When I set the white balance for auto, it keeps searching and changing all the time. It's never done that before, but I figured I'll just set it on daylight now, which means that if I do anything in the shed, the colors may be off a little bit, but it's less irritating than to see that colors constantly changing all the time. For some reason, the white balance on this camera doesn't stay in one position when it's on auto, even though the lighting is not changed. So even outside, I noticed it was doing it. It was very irritating. So I got it set on daylight right now, and I'm just leaving it there for all videos. It looks like it might rain today, but it's cloudy, so I'll do as much as I can out here. It's easier for me to work out here for some of this stuff because I don't have a bench in the shed. As you can plainly see, what a terrible place to work. I have to work down on my hands and knees down here on the floor. This is terrible. This is simply awful. This is why I get so aggravated sometimes. I can't do a nice job on things because I don't have a decent workbench other than the one that's outside. And by the way, this is still set for daylight, and according to the viewfinder, the colors are not fluctuating. Alright, what I did here is I put a bracket on this, and this is going to be inside the head over here. This is going to be like this. I'm going to have to cut this open more in order to get this in. I got a hole down in here. You can't see it probably too good, but it's going to sit like that. That's roughly about 2 inches from the base plate, and that'll be about where the eyes should be. And now only need this one bracket, then I'm going to silicone all the rest in like I did here. But before I can do that, I got to get these eyes mounted, properly spaced, and naturally it'll have to be painted white. What I'm going to do is paint the irises on after it's in. I'll do it from the front. Not going to be a good job, I'm sure, but you know, I'll do the best I can. Now there'll be a bar, as I said, going across here. And I got the tiny little screws necessary to connect that up. That bar will go like that. And there'll be a little area here where this brass rod that I was showing you will come up through and turn this. There'll be probably another bar going from here to here to kind of like stabilize them, and we'll see what happens. I hated to do this, but I had to cut this so I can get in there and do some work. So instead of cutting this right off, I'm going to just tape this up, hold it up there for now, and then I'll let it down and then we'll work on it. There'll still be a back on this, but it will be a different back. So that's what we're going to have to do, because we need to get this mechanism in here, and even the top up here may have to be cut out a little bit, because there's going to be a dome on this anyways. This is not going to be the top of the head. This is going to be probably cut out or something placed on top of it to look like a bald head, but I have to find something round to put in there. A bowl wouldn't really do it, because the bowl would have a ridge to sit on the table, and we couldn't have that. I want a complete round dome on this thing, and I haven't figured out what I'm going to use yet, but I'll find something. Now, of course, I can't fasten any of this in, but when the time comes, I'll put a bolt through there. This is only a temporary stud sticking out right there. You know, I just got a piece sticking out here just to center this so I can draw the line. You can see the line there, right over here, and that's where it's got to be. And I need to find out where the eyes are going to be. Where the eyes are coming out on the front here, I may have to cut around and then make another plate to go over that, and that'll probably be leather or something. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to have to where the eyeballs will stick out through. Alright, this is just temporary right now. This is the stabilizer bar here. There'll be a bar similar to that that'll go from here to here, and it'll have something on it, some kind of a U-shaped thing or something I'll put in here to have the for that 1/8 inch brass rod to turn. But this is just temporary right now. I got to shim this up better and, you know, tighten it up and so forth, probably double nut it and so forth. The spacing, based on my glasses, center to center is about 3 inches. So, nothing like reading the rule upside down. I would say about 2.5 inches. I think that's close enough. I mean, it's supposed to be a little smaller than a human head anyways, and that's fine. So 3.5 is pupil to pupil. What I did is hand tighten this temporarily now, just to keep these solid. So these turn a little tight, but that's what I want, because I need to take the measurement. We definitely want, you know, these sticks to be straight, and then the bar like this will be made in here. Now, this is going to be hard because when I made this one, the spacing was off a little bit. It was like a little bit wider out here. And you probably don't notice that. But you will on this because, well, if it's off a little bit, that's why I'm going to put the pupils on, the irises and everything, back on, I'm going to put them on at the very, very end. They'll probably just be painted on there. I'm not going to get overly crazy with this. Once all this stuff is done and the mechanism's working good, I just have to figure out how to make this self-centering. And then I can put this whole works inside here, screw it up in here, center it properly, and then silicone it. But when I silicone it, I got a silicone here, silicone here. I won't be siliconing in the front because it'll interfere with the eyes. But that's kind of like the last thing. Right now I want to concentrate on making this piece that's going to be cut out of this aluminum bar stock here, make the piece that goes from here to here. As I mentioned so many times, this project is a constant changing evolution. It pays to have a junk box. I don't even know what the heck this is, but this stuff goes back years and years and years, 25 years or more on some of this stuff. I save everything because you never know when you're going to need it. What I need to do is, I got the holes cut for this, for these very, very tiny screws that I got at my local hardware store. He told me what size they were, I don't remember now. That's going to fit in here because I needed to make these holes very small so I don't take any wood away. So that's going to go like that. That's going to be my bar to turn the eyes. Okay, in the middle of this, I needed something to go in the middle of this. I figured I'd pull this out of the junk box. Like I say, I don't know what it is. I'm going to drill a hole right in the dead center here, put a nut and bolt in it and mount it there. Then this rod will come up through this hole here. It'll be bent out, it'll be bent out like that, and then up. And it'll stick in this hole. So as the rod turns, it turns this whole thing, which in turn turns this and turns the eyes, and there you have it. Now I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to mount that in there. If that don't work, I'll figure something else out. But that should work unless I need to make the hole elongated the other way. We're going to see. We'll give it a try. Trying to find a lock washer. I need 2 of them. I've got 7 more of these drawers just like this. And like this here. I'll just dig another drawer out. I gotta find something here. I'll find a lock washer. I need 2 lock washers to put this assembly together. Got the hole drilled already. Well, I found them, finally, in drawer number 6. Tiny little things, but these are too big. I put these off just in case I had to use them, because the head just about falls through these, and I don't like that. So I already got one of these little guys on here, and I need one for the bottom. These are small lock washers. I've got probably a 2-gallon container full of small screws, nuts, and stuff, all for the TV and radio work. That's still sitting up in my workshop, in my former workshop. But it's all small stuff, and I bet you there's a lot of good stuff in there that I could have used. But I can't put everything in the shed. Anyways, we're going to put this together now. I'll be back on the video in a minute. Alright. Hard to work this with one hand, but this is how she's going. The rod will be coming up through this hole right here where my finger is. Turning this way. Turning this way. I had a hard time getting these little nuts on here. That's too small for me to work with. So what I'm going to do is leave this together, and I'm going to paint these eyeballs in place. I was going to paint them. I know I was going to do the irises last, of course, anyways, but I'm going to paint these white. You're not going to see the back, so if I don't get them all covered, I'm not worried about it. I'm going to paint these white while they're on here, because I'm not taking this assembly apart. I will not take this assembly apart again. It's too damn hard to work with this small stuff. You You know, even though I'm wearing glasses and everything, these nuts are terrible to put on these small screws. I've dropped it about 10 times, and fortunately I dropped them all on the bench. I got extra nuts, and I double nutted them, and I'm going to just tighten them up. But there she be. There's the mechanism. But before I close everything final, I got to make sure it's going to work in here. I don't see why it wouldn't. That 1/8 inch rod should just go right in there. After I bend it to the proper size, bring it down through the neck stock, and then figure out the other end of it later. Now if you look in here, you can see where I drew out the cutout. It's going to be a rectangular cutout for the eyes, and then on the face of this over here, after I get it cut out, it'll be filled in with some leather or something. I'll find something to go around to make the the eye sockets and everything, because we're not going to try to do it in this plastic bottle. This is only, like I say, a form, and when I get this ready, it'll be like the mouth here. It'll be a leather or something with lips and everything. Well, that's the same way with the eyes. This is a temporary bolt I just stuck in there. No, that's not a nose, but that's about where the nose will be, though. That's just a temporary bolt for this bracket here. So this thing is working pretty well. I don't think there's going to be any problem with that. I couldn't get these double nutted real tight because they're too small for me to work with. Real small. They're 3/16, but I'll tell you what, they might as well be 1/16 with my bad eyesight. I just can't see to get a needle nose pliers to hold the inside nut. It's just too big. I can't do it. I can't work with the small stuff. I'm lucky I'm able to do what I can do now with my rotten eyesight. But anyways, I'll come back on this in a little while here. Feel like a watchmaker here. I had to go back in, strain my lousy eyesight to get this 3/16 nut, the double nutted, so that when I turn this screw now, which I can't even see the screw slot now, when I turn it, the whole nut turns. That's the way I want it. But if you hold the nut with your fingers and you try to turn it, it won't turn. That's the way I want it, because I double nutted it, locked it in there. I did the same thing there, and I put silicone on it. Otherwise, I was going to have to peen over the ends, and I really didn't want to do that, because if the nuts come off of this, if I just use one nut on each one of these, this comes off, I'm screwed and tattooed all at the same time. And believe me, I don't think that's any fun. So we're going to let it dry. We got silicone there. I tighten these down. I put silicone on the threads here, silicone over here, and on the bracket down below there, you can see some silicone down in here. So that'll hold things together. Holding things together ain't no easy thing to do.